Hi everybody, Honest John here. In a recent study of the Los Angeles Police Department, it came to light that most of the calls the police are responding to have nothing to do with violent crime. In fact, much of what police do during the regular course of their duties has nothing to do with it. One example, they spend a lot of time directing traffic. And a very important job, but that has little to do with deterring or solving crimes. So now, as a result of the Black Lives Matter protests, there is consideration being given to the idea that maybe it would be better if we didn't leave it to the police to handle certain types of problems and emergencies. This is especially true of two things: school policing and mental health emergencies. As far as the schools go, look, I'm all for having police there especially to prevent school shootings. But maybe their role needs to be clearly defined and circumscribed, because sometimes teachers, when they're feeling overwhelmed with dealing with a problem child, will call in the police when maybe that's not the best way to handle things. When you see 6-year-old girls in handcuffs, it's pretty obvious that school policing has gone off the rails. And it can also result in children being subjected to the criminal justice system unnecessarily. And once you get involved with the criminal justice system, you might spend the rest of your life dealing with the repercussions and ramifications of that. And when a psychiatric patient is having a crisis, having police respond to it often ends in tragedy. And this is not because police are bad people. It's because what police are trained to do is exactly the opposite of what they should be doing in those situations. Perfect example. If there's a fight in a bar and the police are called in, they establish an aggressive presence in order to get control of the situation quickly. This includes use of what's called the command voice, which essentially is a yelling really loud, and a show of force, and often physically restraining the combatants. This is exactly the right way to handle that situation. But when a person is having a mental health crisis, it's exactly the wrong approach. The person is confused and frightened, might be hearing voices, might have delusions, and so they're not responding to reality as we perceive it. And what's needed, what I was trained to do in those situations, is a patient, low-key approach that is not threatening. Give the person plenty of space. Try to get them to talk about what they're thinking and feeling and what's going on with them. And the police just aren't very good at that. So specialized teams need to be developed to send to those types of situations. Police may be involved. They should be involved, because those situations can escalate and spiral out of control. But mental health professionals should be the ones who are in charge and who make the initial contact with the person in crisis. There are lots of other situations that police respond to that their training might not prepare them for. Domestic disputes, noise complaints, disputes between neighbors, disputes between landlords and tenants, and things that are just disturbances in the neighborhood that may or may not be violent. They just might be loud. It seems like now is a great time to think about what the alternatives might be in responding to these situations. It has been clear for a long time that we're giving the police far too much to do. And the training that they get is not the best for dealing with many of these situations. So when we're talking about defunding the police, what we're talking about is spending money on other ways of handling these situations and having the police be less involved. Let the police do what they do best and get professionals in other roles to handle situations that the police are clearly not trained to deal with. Thanks for listening.